Hello and welcome back to Tera. Picking up where we left off last time, we are now here on the actual Isle of Dawn. I made a mistake last episode saying that we were on the Isle of Dawn. This is the Isle of Dawn. As you can see, things didn't go too badly, especially after crashing that ship and probably countless deaths upon my behalf. What we are going to be doing today is a quick run through of a few more details because I feel I didn't cover enough of this game, and to be honest I can't imagine you really could in one video because there's absolutely so much to it. Right, let's get started. The one thing I did forget about to mention is the ALXE system.
Helping others is a delight.
Basically, with the ALXE system, actual players of the game, guilds, can rule over areas for a set amount of time.
Give me a sec. Something important?
Something I feel
Hey,
is
what?
Something I feel is actually quite unique. I've never actually seen that before, and basically they can set the taxation rates and what shops are open, etc.
You look ready for battle? The honor is mine.
Depending on what area they actually rule over. It's for a set period of time. As you can see up here, this is actually the ALXE icon. It says here, and this is all the details basically. ALXE stages there. It's currently in the rain. This guild here, Synthesis, own the Isle of Dawn, and it will be ending on the 19th of the 6th, 2013. And which stage it will go back up to election, and another guild will start ruling over the area. As I said, it's quite a unique thing. Personally, I've never seen this kind of stuff before, and I think it's quite good. Another point, I don't know if I did mention, but basically after the prologue you do get put down to level 1. As you can see on the taskbar, on the quick bar, sorry, there is actually no abilities on there at the moment because that's what you basically start with.
Elves lead the way. Feel the core's power. Elves lead the way.
And it isn't totally 100% necessary to actually start with running straight through the tutorial. Basically you can start from this period and get a good full understanding of the game. I personally run through the tutorial because I feel, you know, it gives you a grasp of what's to come later on down the field with the character as you progress with them. But as I say, it's completely optional, and that the first area, the Island of Dawn, does actually work as a tutorial as well for the game, teaching you all the sorts of basics of the game. The enemies aren't too strong, as you can see. Also, another thing that I wanted to mention is the attack system. Rather than most games where you have to click frantically to left click in games like this, for example Raiders, you can actually just hold down the left click and it will auto attack until you stop holding it. And to start with, it is quite easy to level up, you know. It's not a massive struggle or anything. It's nothing too exerting really, just a nice gentle start to the game really. And something I forgot, I don't know if I did remember to mention this before actually, but in this game you can gather random items. That might not sound so interesting. To be honest, it isn't too interesting, but it's the fact that when you level up with each item you collect, and the more items that you collect, the more you level up. But the thing being, at higher levels and
Feel
stuff,
the core's power. Elves lead the way.
You can actually gain more items from one.
Are you ready?
Hotspot. As I said, that might not be so interesting, but it's the fact that you gain more items per hotspot, but also, on top of that, when you reach level 300 with each of them, you gain a unique cosmetic item. Well, not unique to your character, but a cosmetic item that can only be gained by reaching 300 in that specific skill. Which I think is quite cool, especially because some of them look quite cool. There's only 3 skills in the game, which is gathering, mining, and alchemy, I think. It's to do with collecting essence that you'll find at certain points. And also, if you are the sort of person that doesn't want the HUD all over your screen, all of it's movable, not resizable, sorry, removable, and you can position it anywhere on the field and that. And personally, I don't think it is too invasive. Most of it's quite, it's not got backgrounds behind it. It's all see-through, so you haven't actually got parts blocking, unlike some games. And also down there in the bottom right corner, you can see it actually runs the time, the official time of that area server that you're in. For example, like the UK server, it actually is set to the UK times in the bottom corner because it is a full screen game. I think it's kind of a good feature, to be fair, seeing as you do eventually start losing track of time when you're playing these games. And also in the bottom right corner, you may notice there is a mini map. Something I like is on top of the map in the top right corner, the bottom, well, I've positioned it in the bottom left corner, there you can bring in a mini map as well as the top right corner, which does save a lot of time rather than keep clicking M to go onto your map screen and find out where everything is. Personally, I always keep it up, hide it down the bottom corner. It hasn't been too intrusive at all. As with all games though, they do have a bit of a flaw. This one I find is more or less the fact that, as I may have said before, your speed, you don't move too fast, and you gain a mount, yes, but your mount, you gain it at level 11. The good thing is, you won't be level 11 until you leave this area, and this area is not too big, so you're not in too much of an urgent need for one. It's just, if you're a bit impatient, the first area may be a bit slow because of the movement speed of your character. But it does offer plenty of things to do, plenty of quests, and plenty of collecting things if you're the sort of person that doesn't really like to fight too much. You do gain XP from collecting items as well. It's quite user-friendly interface as well to play with, and you do get the hang of it quite easily. Also, if you notice up here in the top corner, it says no PvP allowed. I haven't got to the areas yet, but I would assume that somewhere later in the game there will be open areas where you can literally just PvP anywhere, which I think is quite cool. I haven't seen it much in games before. I'm not too good at PvP at all, but I always find it nice, just to have that option there. Especially if someone's annoying you, you can just get rid of them. Always a good feature. And also around the this here, the battleground matching, from what I've seen so far, that is basically deathmatch instances, which I think is quite cool. I don't know of many MMOs which actually feature deathmatch instancing. They have the free-for-all PvP and stuff, but to instantly be placed into a deathmatch, unless of course I may be incorrect, it may be the guild battlefields, but
Every deal falls apart these days.
still, we'll find out more of that.
We're
as we
all in
carry
this
on.
together, eh?
And these,
Do
as
not
I
start
may have
what you
said
can't
before,
finish.
when you level up in this game, every 2 levels you gain the ability to buy new skills. You speak to these people here. The tactics instructor is for melee-based skills for melee-based characters, magic instructor for magician type characters. And all you do,
Who wants to live forever?
speak to them. This here is the list of abilities from this character, all the way up from 2 to level 60. And the good thing is you're not limited to a certain number. Once you pass that skill level and you have the money, you can buy that skill. As they're done. Something I think is quite cool. And something that has seemed to actually stop working, but before, where it says defense modifier, when it says replace, it will normally say a plus or a minus symbol to represent whether or not that will actually upgrade you.
You want to
or
be strong?
downgrade.
Then practice more.
As I say, the very start of the game is very tutorial based, teaches you everything that you could possibly need to know. Of course there is the things like battleground instancing, which you do gain more abilities upon later on in the game, because at the start of the game you're not going to really need to know too much about PvP, you kind of get your grasp on things. I think its learning curve is quite really useful, really. you know, it's quite a smooth learning curve. It's nothing too extreme, and it's not like you're thrown in the deep end too badly. And with the player creation screen, on the class screen, it does actually say indicate the offensive skill, defensive skill, support skills, and player ability, which is basically to indicate how hard the character
Not all tasks are worthy.
that specific class is to play as.
Fortune favors the prepared.
Something I found quite useful, but again, it's kind of more... Don't use it as a set guide, because realistically, it's not too set in stone, really. Like, for example, a character that I play as is the warrior. Its player ability, it says it's 5-star, but you know, that's the first class that I played as, and I seem to be doing quite fine with it. I haven't found any sort of problems at all with the character class at all. You know, I haven't found it hard to use or anything like that, and this character class is level 3. To be fair, I've actually had a harder time with the level 3 class. As I say, it's more to do with how you like to play as. With the warrior, of course, it's more evading, quick attacks and getting out of the way. With the berserker class, I think this might be, it's more defending and tanking. Glad I picked that up. This here is a locked strongbox. The problem is, to get the strongbox key, you need to buy it with real cash, something that I don't actually like personally. I don't like games which promote buying real cash. I've never bothered to buy one, but from what I've heard, they are pretty pointless. So in my recommendation, unless you really want to see what's inside there, don't buy one. Personally, I'm not going to, which is why I just recommend to do that and delete. And there we go, you get freed up your space. Another thing that I forgot to mention down here, the instant matching. If we click on that, it is, well, basically instances, you know, dungeons, all that sort of stuff. All on there, you can instantly be matched with a team rather than standing around and waiting to find a group. Something I find a lot better, a lot good, and amazing
You watch my back and I'll watch yours.
mechanic, because personally, I don't know about you guys, but normally I find that you normally sit around for hours and hours
Let me show you what I've got.
just trying to get a group together to run an instance, and rather than do that, why not just set up an instant matcher
Have we met?
that you can click on, leave messages in, and just be matched depending on your stipulations. Personally, something that I find is a great addition to the game. Up here as well, you may be wondering, these flashing question marks are the help. At certain points in the tutorial, it will flash up and give you more detail on certain things, like for example this here is location marks. If you click on your missions here and the source down here, these blue words, if you click on them and you've got your minimap up, it will highlight red dot, orange dots, sorry. These orange dots are the general area that you can find that enemy. See, if you say the Terran Chief and the Terran, they're both in the same area, but later on you will find people. Like this guy here, Nazar, it will flash over here. From what I've seen as well so far, from the community players, from the community of Tera, they aren't that bad, you know. There's not much bad mouthing or flaming each other or general abuse. It's all quite helpful, you know, to a new player and stuff. If you find anything daunting, really, you can help. You can ask people and they will respond to you, and most of the time not be so bad, you know. As obviously this is a human race, you will get a few people that find it necessary to just be mean to people, but you know, I haven't found very many of them at all. Of course, that might be due to early stages or not, but if it is, then just stay in the early stages, you know, make a few friends, simple. And also, as you may have noticed, there is these random messages flashing up every now and again. They are basically just a little bit of advice, tips, hints on stuff that it may not be covering itself. That just explains certain things. They do flash up kind of fast, but they're kind of frequent and they do repeat each other quite well, and quite often. if you notice below your health bar, as you attack enemies and stuff, if they don't die in one hit, their health bar will appear below there, and rather than saying a certain health amount, it will just say a percentage number of how much they have left. I think it's not really necessary, but it's useful. And also, if you're one of those people that's quite impatient with getting drops from enemies, it's not something that you should worry about in this game. Personally, you know, I've found that you pretty much constantly get drops from enemies. They're not really that.
Time is precious.
They're not really that rare, and you're not really too pressed to collect them too much. That person is riding a lion. As I say, as you can see, I'm level 4 now, and this person over here, the tactics instructor, will now have more abilities for me to buy.
Like any science, combat has its geniuses.
And here we are, flatten. And all we do is press K, and this is a list of our currently learned skills, which we can drag and drop into here, the quick bars. The combo attack can be raised, and each level it goes up, it gains more hits onto the combo. The axe blocks there, down here set to right and left click, and here are our skills. And also something I thought I may mention, you can press Alt or Escape to bring up this menu here, which is basically the main menu. It's got everything that you could possibly need. The social section, it's got the raids for quick matching for raids. If we click on there, you can gather up to 20 people to take on more challenging goals, as it says down there. Something that, you know, you get into more later in the game. Battleground matching, let's join the battlefields, there we are, there's all the details there. Level 60 players can team up with other players for PvP battlegrounds, there we go. We click here, instance matching, you know. It's just got everything here under the social thing. These are basically anything that you want to be social with. Guilds, friends, trade logs, death matches, looking for groups, looking for guilds, sorry. Looking for guild here. Looking for group, sorry. It's not very clear, which is one of the problems. Looking for group applicants, because you can make your group, set a limit upon it, and people have to actually apply to it. And you can say whether or not you want them in your group. The guild list, the list of guilds that are on this server. Total number of guilds on server, 1,630. As you can see, not too hard to find a guild. With 96 pages, I'm pretty sure you can go through all of those and eventually find someone. You know, it is a game that promotes groups, and we've got here the activities, the emotes, pets, which I haven't actually found anything about. The candidates for when we're in the ALXE stage and when you're trying to vote for people will all be listed on there, but as you can see up here, only viewable during competition stage. The ALXE themselves. This is a map of the area, and all these areas that you can click up here, ALXE, and these are the guilds which are running them. There, see, and over on the Isle of Dawn, as I pointed out earlier, synthesis there. Item claim is for claiming items from redeemable codes, pre-order codes, collector's edition of Tera, as it says there. One-use items. The achievements in the game, there is absolutely hundreds. From what I've seen so far, they have no real bearing on the entire game. There's just a bit of niceness, you know. If you have bothered to kill, as it says here, 50,000 monsters, it's just a little thing to say well done, because to be fair, if you've killed 50,000 monsters, well done. I haven't done it myself, but it's going to take a long time, you know, and that sort of commitment should be a bit of reward. The battleground ranking, the ranking for everyone for battlegrounds, these are, well, guild battlegrounds, from what I know. This up here is the two different battlegrounds. The craft and extract thing. Basically in the game, when you get to the first city, Arcadia, it should be Arcadia. If I check under here the ALXE, yep, Arcadia. The first city of Arcadia, you start learning how to extract and craft abilities. When you craft, you gain levels, depending on what you've used, and obviously you cannot use a level 1 item to go all the way to level 410. At level 50, I think it's about 50 levels per thing, it will stop raising your ability and you'll need to go on to the next tier. Quite a costly thing, but you know, you can make some quite powerful stuff. Under here will be the list of all your recipes which you can buy from the shops when you get into the later stages. And here's the extraction. You can basically extract items from equipment that you no longer need. Here is the dungeon ranking again. It's for the dungeons, as you could probably guess. The map, it's got here in the brackets the quick button for it, the N to bring up the mini-map down there, or the M to bring up the actual entire map. Personally, I've actually never found a use for this because, yeah, when you click on it, it does a bit like this. This is basically the city. The city is there, that little circle. So basically, when you click on it to zoom in, you know, it doesn't actually help if you're over the top. You know, that's as close as it goes. Which you can probably get all that info. I can personally see that you can get all that information from the minimap. And down here, your inventory button, quest logs, skills, and profile. With the profile of your character, as you can see over here, you can equip earrings, hair, face, gauntlets, underclothes, outer clothes, necklaces, rings, boots, weapons, and each of these can also have gems, crystals equipped to them as well, which adds up to a lot of customization. Also down here you can see you can save up to 5 different outfits just to literally click or shift 1 and it'll change to that outfit that you've got preset to that one. And here is the costuming. You can set basically items which will act as a skin for your item. Rather than say, for example, you wanted to wear this gear here, but you didn't like the look of it. All you do is equip something into your armor costume slot, and done. It'll take the look of the armor, but it'll retain the stats of your actual armor that you are wearing. Quite a good thing, I think, really, because you know, no one really you always get your own sort of unique thing that bit of gear that you really like, and you know, when you level up and that, it becomes redundant, but you still want to wear it, you still like the look of it, so you just equip it in there in your costume slots. Right, and now we are going to head off to our first kind of mini-boss sort of guy. He's a bit harder than all these other Gillihues that you can see. He is not him. If you look on our mini-map up at the top left, there he is, Vecus. He will appear as a red dot instead of an orange dot, just to indicate the fact that he is more stronger than the other enemies that we've come across so far. Nothing too hard though. You know, this is the tutorial of the game. Something I also don't think I have mentioned actually is if you hover over an enemy, you'll notice their level appears, so you can judge whether or not it would be a good idea to attack that or not. But you know, with this being the start of the game, you know, it isn't really that bad of an idea to attack really anything that you come across, as long as you haven't run straight towards the end of the game. The end of the area, of course, things are not going to be too hard. And normal ways of working things, stick to things close to your level. You know, 1 or 2 levels higher, yeah, you can still take it out. It won't be too hard yet. This, as I said, this is the tutorial. And there we are, Vecus, the first boss kind of thing. I don't know whether to call him a boss or not because he's hardly that strong, but is now dead. And we've got more help up here. There we go. As you can see here, during fights, if enemies' eyes turn red, they're about to unleash a powerful attack. That is pretty much when you should either get out the way, if you're, say, a warrior, or block, say if you're a berserker, to lessen the damage as much as possible.
Are you ready?
So they don't destroy you. And here it is, practicing against
Be careful.
clean kills. From my knowledge, a clean kill is basically they don't touch you, you kill them. A bit unlike this. They they actually hit me, so it didn't count as a clean kill. And here we are, the first instance of gathering. After we come over that hill, basically you can start gathering things. Here we go, plant. All you do, click F1, your character will gather it all up. And here you are with the reward, and as you can see at the top, plant collecting has increased to level 1. You can level up to level 150 before you leave this area. I found that out personally, so you guys don't have to. And the good thing is they don't disappear after one use, they are there forever. You can just wander back a little bit later and you will find them all again, which, as I say, is how you can basically level up to 150. Not that it is lacking of many items, but you know, if you do want to stay in the earlier stages and collect all the sort of thing, all the little bits and bobs until you get to level 150 before you leave. Sorry, 150, 101, sorry. You can level up to 101 before you leave. There isn't any sort of plus side to this, but you know, you just start with an insurmountable amount of usable items. And here we are, Tower Base. This is the first city you'll ever get to. As you can see in the minimap here, zoomed in on the area so you actually have a better grasp of the area around you. All the icons represent different things. The heart down here is the Cleric of Restoration. You can speak to him and pay him a small sum to be restored. You'll have your MP and HP restored. The merchant is the cash bag as normal, as you could probably guess, just the general sort of sell and buy stuff. The sort of general objects that really you can't find anywhere else. It's more the vague shop. The bank and a post where you can actually send posts to other characters. The teleport master, as we'll see a bit later. Tactics and magic instructors, people that you can level up and buy, buy your abilities from when you do level up. Another bank, and here's a speciality store. The speciality store will sell the stuff which most other shops, well, all other shops from what I've seen, will not sell. Very useful, but they can only be appointed when the Vanarch in the area appoints them. Something very useful though, because normally on the Isle of Dawn there is always a speciality store running. One of the only problems with the minimap, you cannot rely on it for everything. If you notice in the top right corner, the map up there has a exclamation mark yellow, which is indicating a quest. On the minimap it isn't actually displaying, so it's a reason why personally I keep both of them running. And something I'll cover in a moment after we get up here is the stamina system. Basically, I'm not sure if I covered it in this tutorial, in the prologue.
I'm here to help. You have my attention.
Basically, the stamina system...
Something important? Make it snappy. Hey, what?
is this little line up here. As you can see, it's at 104% so far. You raise it by standing near campfires, or there's stationary ones which are set up most of the time in villages, like over here. This person over here is the explains resting. If you stand around these, you'll gradually regain stamina. As you can see, it becomes bigger. When it reaches 120, you gain a nice little boost on your mana and HP reserves, which does eventually go down as you start losing stamina. Stamina is lost from being attacked and just generally attacking general things that would take up your stamina in normal day-to-day life anyway. And what you do, you just stand around. It's normally the sort of social hub as well of the game, basically. People will gather around these. As I said, this is the starting of the game, so there isn't many people here, because, you know, people are out learning the game for themselves. And here we go, as I say, 120 goes to abundant stamina, and you gain a nice little boost on top of your HP. Also,
Fortune smiles on us.
Also, you can do things such as this. These here are charms. When standing near a campfire, right click and you'll lob them onto the campfire. They will burn, and up here, there we are, it will give you a random buff which will take effect at a certain point. For example, this one here is once you're in combat. There's offensive, defensive,
For
and
the Federation.
another kind, which I cannot remember the third kind. And
Praise Velik.
here we are. This is the general
See you
store.
on the road ahead.
The merchant sells pretty much anything you want. The campfires, the portable ones that you can actually put out on the ground yourself. and the firewood, which you can use to stoke the campfire to keep it running for a longer period of time. As you can see here in the inventory, some of these items are red. The red items are not my class, as it says up there in red writing, for warrior, slayer and archer. There is pretty much no use in keeping these. Some of them, for example this, which I accidentally clicked over, red means basically you cannot use it. It's not to say that you'll never be able to use it. As you can see here, this one just requires 50 alchemy. Alchemy can be raised with the crafting, which you learn about in Arcadia. So basically, really just check your items before selling them. Most of the time, if it's an equipment, you won't have much use for them. Apart from that, I accidentally clicked there, above level 6. The blue items cannot be sold to stores. That's another thing as well. This is
You need an assist?
the tutorial. Basically, in the game as well, you can collect these bombs. Bombs, as you can probably guess, are ranged equipment. The good thing is they can be used by anyone, so you don't need to be an archer. All you do, equip them to your taskbar, quick bar, sorry, and throw away. They're quite useful for doing area effect. But personally, I haven't found much use of
Experience is the best sergeant I ever had. Chin up, eyes front.
that. May be, of course, because of the fact that I prefer to fight melee clan. And as I said, this early stage, it's pretty much running around and speaking to everyone, finding out all the sorts of basics of the game.
Victory for Valkion.
It will teach you a lot, a few things that you kind of have to learn yourself and stuff like the ALXE system. This up here in the top right corner as well, these are your buffs. As you can see, gather life. When you gather items, you gain buffs from them. So it is always good to try and gather while you move to keep your buffs renewed, keep them running. You know, it does really help. You do get some quite useful ones. And as I've noticed here in the top right corner, I actually did miss these two people down here with quests.
This ought to be hilarious.
Another reason.
For the Federation. A day worth remembering.
Another reason why to keep both running. The minimap is also great for detail, but the top right corner, which is effectively what I'd call a radar, is good for noticing the details. As well, another thing I thought I'd say. This here, supply crate, you will gain them after one of the early missions, one of the ones I just completed actually. This woman over here will give you Adrea. Basically, it's just free gear. Right click, opens up the supply crate. And there we go, gives you a little bit of free gear and a new one which can be opened at a later level, that one there, level 9. You know, it's always a nice little boost. Just a bit extra really. And now that we're done with these training things, we can remove them from the taskbar, no longer to be seen. There we go, and it also does reward you with bombs there and bombs there. These here are safe haven teleport scrolls. Basically, it will teleport you to the nearest town or city, as you can see in the explanation. They do have a cooldown time, and they are damn useful. But again, it's one of those things that you kind of have to reserve and use when you need. When you really need. Because I haven't seen many of them. And here we are, back out here. As you can see, highlight over things, level 5. You can see its abilities to adapt. As I say, with the start game, it is quite friendly. You know, they don't throw too much at you. And as I'll show here, with collecting the items, notice in the top right corner it will give me buffs. There we go, gathering speed affects your abilities. Highlight over abilities, increase movement speed in combat by 2. Effect stacks up to 3 times. Each gathering item will just give you a random buff. Some of them can be quite beneficial, like attack bonuses and stuff. Some of them you can't really see too much point in them, but you know, they're always nice to have. Like combat speed. To be fair, with this type of character, I can't see much use for a combat speed ability, because you're not really moving too much, you're more tanking. And a lot of this game, as you've probably guessed, is hunt, kill, gather stuff. But, you know, personally I like it. It hasn't really got old or anything with me. And also something I can actually show now. The enemies' names. As you can see, it's appearing in orange. That means it is higher level than you and recommended not to fight. But as I say, this is the start of the game, so they are not going to be too hard. As that proves. But of course, if you really want to, just avoid them. You know, you don't have to go fighting things. You can level up quite easily, not fighting things which are over your level. And while I'm over here, I thought I'd show you this. This ahead of me is the transport station. You have quick transport via these and the teleport system. The teleport system normally teleports you to instances though, whereas this is the flight platform, Pegasus platform, sorry. Basically at level 11, you've got to get to level 11 before you can use this, so you will reach level 11 before you leave this area. It's a set thing. And basically, level 11, you can use this. You can ride Pegasus, which actually acts as a fast travel between cities. Very, very useful. Does cost a little bit of money, but, you know, well, to be fair, that is actually the only way off of this island. But, yeah, as you'll see a bit later, it just looks awesome. Another mechanic that I've seen in this game, which I haven't seen in many others, is climbing. As you've seen me before with the ladders and stuff, but, you know, normally they only do ladders, basic things, so this is actually climbing, as you can see, Vine. There isn't too much use for these, just a couple of quests require you to go up then, for stuff a bit higher up and that. You know, nothing fantastic, but it's these little details which make it a lot better for me. Here we are at the top, and here is our main reason for coming up at the Skyreach Flower. Yes, we did climb that for just one item, but there is a big reward. Look at this. Now this may be a computer game and that, but the view in these games is just astonishingly good. This is why I love Tera. It just looks awesome. And I think we will cut it there. I have now done it justice from what I can feel. I have actually done justice with covering absolutely everything that I could think of that you would cover in a normal first impression. I'm sorry that it's actually spanned across 2 videos, but alas, as I say, I think this game really did need it. I will be continuing more with Tera. We will continue on from Arcadia, away from the tutorial section, when the game actually gets really good going. So, I have been ALXE, you have been awesome. Thank you very much for watching, and ta-ra!